I wasn't supposed to hear that conversation. It was an accident, one that would change everything I thought I knew about my family. That evening, I sat at my desk, pretending to work, the spreadsheets on my laptop blurred together, numbers and formulas losing meaning as my mind drifted elsewhere. I was exhausted, too many late nights at the office, too many battles fought alone in a world that seemed determined to test me. When my phone suddenly rang, I jumped slightly. My father's name lit up the screen. Dad. Once, that word had made me feel safe. It had meant protection, strength, and love. Lately, though, it had become something heavy, something I carried with reluctance. Still, I answered with a casual, "Hey, Dad." Silence. I frowned. "Hello, Dad?" At first, I thought it was a bad connection. Then, faintly, I heard noises, rustling, the scrape of a chair against the floor, a weary sigh, and then his voice, sharp and merciless, cut through. "She's a failure. She'll never succeed." I froze. The phone pressed hard against my ear. My stomach twisted as though I'd swallowed glass. My mother's voice followed, soft, almost pleading. "Come on, Daniel, she's doing fine. She pays the mortgage, doesn't she?" My father scoffed, the sound dripping with disdain. "That's the least she can do after everything we've done for her. Do you think I'm proud of her? She was a mistake that never should have happened, a constant disappointment, and she thinks she's successful. She'll never be more than a joke." Each word struck like a blade. My throat tightened, my hand trembled, though I couldn't bring myself to hang up. I wanted to scream, to demand how he could say those things, but no sound left my lips. He continued, relentless, unaware he had dialed me by mistake. "She's lucky we even let her be part of this family. I don't know why she tries so hard. She'll never be one of us." And then, click, the call ended. Silence fell over my apartment, heavy and suffocating. I sat motionless, staring at nothing, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the world. My father, my own father, had just erased me with words I could never unhear. But the bitter irony was this: for 9 years, I had been the reason they still had that house he spoke about so carelessly. They thought their mortgage was with the bank. They thought their monthly payments went to some faceless lender. But the truth was, it all came to me, through CR Holdings, the investment firm I built with nothing but grit, sleepless nights, and a loyal advisor. I had quietly bought their mortgage years ago when foreclosure loomed. I had been their safety net, their invisible savior, while they looked me in the eye and dismissed me as nothing. And yet, in that moment, shattered as I was, something inside me shifted. I opened the folder on my laptop. Property 20, mortgage agreements, payment histories, ownership records stared back at me, the evidence of 9 years of sacrifice, proof that the mistake my father despised was the only reason his pride, his home, and his carefully curated image still stood intact. That night, I didn't sleep. His words haunted me. She was a mistake. It wasn't just cruel, it was final, a lifetime of chasing his approval, every achievement dismissed, every milestone minimized, had led to this. Straight A's were brushed aside, career promotions were expected, buying my first home had been called reckless, every victory, dimmed by his disdain, and still, I had hoped that one day, he'd see me. That hope died in the silence after his voice. By dawn, numbness gave way to something colder. I brewed black coffee, sat back at my desk, and stared at the documents again. My father thought me worthless, yet he lived under the roof I had saved, paid for, and controlled. And in 2 weeks, he would find out. Because tucked in those contracts was a clause, a safeguard my advisor, John, had insisted on. If my parents missed even one payment, CR Holdings would assume full ownership instantly, no appeals, no loopholes. Back then, I thought it unnecessary. Now, I realized it was my weapon. As if on cue, my phone buzzed, a message from my mother. "Hey, sweetheart, can you come over for dinner this Sunday? We'd love to see you." I stared at the words, hollow and false. Invitations like these always came with strings, always about money. I thought of ignoring her, but instead, I typed back, "Of course, looking forward to it." Let them play their game, I'd play mine. Before closing my laptop, I reached out to the one person who had always treated me like family, Uncle Larry, my father's older brother. "Hey, Uncle Larry, has Dad said anything unusual about me lately?" His reply was instant. "Charlotte, we need to talk. It's worse than you think. Moments later, my phone rang. Uncle Larry? His sigh carried weight. Charlotte, I've held my tongue too long, but after what I heard last week, I can't anymore. My chest tightened. What did they say? They're planning to come after you. Your father thinks you're hiding money. He said if you don't give them more, they'll find ways to force it, maybe contact your employer, maybe even trigger an IRS audit. I gripped the phone harder, my pulse racing. So it wasn't just cruelty, it was a plan. Uncle Larry, I said quietly, I need your help. I need proof. Anything you need, sweetheart, he said firmly. For the next 3 days, I prepared. I spoke to John. I reviewed every clause in the contracts. I watched the calendar, knowing their next payment deadline loomed. And when I walked into their home that Sunday, the house that was legally mine, I no longer felt like the daughter desperate for approval. I felt like the storm they never saw coming. My blood ran cold at his words. This was the same man who had belittled me my entire life, called me useless, a failure, a mistake, yet all the while, he lived comfortably under the shelter I had quietly provided. The irony was almost unbearable. But I kept my face unreadable, my voice steady. When I finally spoke, I'll think about it. My mother exhaled loudly, relief flooding her tone. Oh, sweetheart, thank you. We knew we could count on you. I gave a small nod, pushing food around on my plate, pretending to eat. They had no idea that their time was running out, that in 4 days their world would come crashing down around them. That night, as I sat in my apartment with my laptop open, John called me. His voice was calm, professional, but beneath it I could sense his satisfaction. They defaulted. A quiet thrill ran through me. They what? I asked, masking my anticipation. They missed their mortgage payment, John confirmed. As of midnight, CR Holdings officially owns the property. It's yours, Charlotte, legally and completely yours. I closed my eyes, leaning back in my chair as I let the truth sink in. It was finally done. My father, the man who spent his life reminding me I was nothing, was now, by law, my tenant. Do you want me to file the eviction order? John asked. Not yet, I said softly, opening my eyes to glance at the framed photograph on my desk. It was of us, my parents, Raymond, and me, taken years ago, before the cracks in our family grew so wide they could no longer be ignored. I had been smiling in that picture, young and foolish enough to believe love in our family was unconditional. My fingers brushed the glass frame. Not yet, I repeated. I want to see how long it takes before they realize the truth. Let's see how far they go before they finally break. Because break, they would, and this time, I would not be there to catch them. The days that followed were eerily silent. No messages, no calls, none of their usual guilt-laden reminders about family loyalty. They were still blissfully ignorant, still believing their lives were in order. That illusion shattered on Friday morning. At 9:40 a.m., an email arrived from CR Holdings legal department, urgent default notice, property number 20. My breath caught as I opened it. The letter was cold, formal, decisive. It stated, in no uncertain terms, that due to non-payment, property ownership had transferred. My parents were no longer homeowners, they were tenants, their continued stay contingent on rental compliance. I didn't have to wait long. At 10:05, my mother's number flashed on my phone. I let it ring. At 10:15, she called again. Then, at 10:22, my father tried. I ignored them both, watching the screen light up, again and again, as desperation mounted. At 11 o'clock sharp, I finally answered. Charlotte, my mother's voice was frantic, trembling. There's been a mistake. We got a notice saying we defaulted on the mortgage. The bank must have made an error. You have to help us. I let the silence stretch before answering, my tone even, almost detached. It's not a mistake. What? Her voice cracked, disbelieving. It's not a mistake, I repeated slowly, each word deliberate. You didn't make your payment. The house isn't yours anymore. For a moment, only silence. Then, a nervous laugh from my mother. Charlotte, don't be ridiculous. This is our home. We've lived here for 30 years. It was your home, I corrected sharply. Legally, as of this week, you're tenants. That's the reality. My father's voice suddenly boomed through the speaker, raw panic edging into his anger. This is absurd. We've been paying the bank faithfully for years. I paused, savoring the moment. You weren't paying the bank, Dad. My voice was calm, but laced with quiet power. "You've been paying me." Dead silence. Then, in a low growl, he spat. "You're lying." "I'm not," I replied evenly. "9 years ago, when you were about to lose everything, I stepped in. I bought your mortgage through CR Holdings. Every check you've sent, every transfer you've made, it all came to me. I've owned this house all along." My mother gasped audibly. My father cursed under his breath. And then, from the background, Raymond's mocking voice chimed in with a laugh. "So all this time, we've been paying rent to our failure of a sister? Figures, you always find a way to screw things up." I inhaled slowly, keeping my composure. "Since you think I'm such a failure, Raymond, you'll appreciate this. Rent is due in 40 days. If you can't pay, you'll be evicted." "Charlotte, please," my mother started, but my father cut her off, his voice cracking as he shouted, "This is a bluff. You wouldn't dare do this to your own family." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Wouldn't I?" I thought back to that phone call, the words I hadn't been meant to hear. "She's a mistake that should never have happened." I thought about the nights I'd covered their bills, the sacrifices I'd made, the career risks I'd taken, all while they plotted ways to wring more out of me, even talking about audits and threats. "You have no idea what I'm capable of," I said flatly. "I've already spoken to my lawyer. If you don't pay rent on time, you're out, and if you try anything, any manipulation, any threats, even damage to the property, I'll press charges. This isn't a negotiation." "You ungrateful little," my father snarled, but I ended the call before he could finish. My phone buzzed instantly with new messages. "Mom, Charlotte, please, don't do this. We're family, we can work it out." "Dad, you'll regret this. Mark my words." "Raymond, you think you're smart? You're pathetic. We'll find a way to take it all back. Just watch." I read them one by one, my expression calm, my pulse steady, and then, one by one, I blocked their numbers. For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift off my chest. I had spent a lifetime trying to earn their love, their respect, their approval. I had sacrificed everything to carry them. Now I was done. Leaning back in my chair, I looked out the window at the sun breaking through the clouds. For the first time in my life, I felt free. They would stand or fall on their own, and if they crumbled, it would no longer be my problem.